Okay, welcome to Reviving the Global Heart online practice, February 9th of the year 2021. Still getting used to that. Joe Weston sends his love and well wishes from the Netherlands, where he is on retreat for the month of February. I get notes from him at about 10 o'clock his time, 10 o'clock at night, Central European time, and he is evidently in a state of bliss, is what he says. So we are happy to be continuing this practice, this community gathering, which has now been almost approaching 3 years on Tuesdays. My name is Todd Hoskins, and I will be hosting, and Tori Heinsohn will be leading us in the practice. So I would like to start today with a question. And that question is, what does it mean to be fully alive? Not a rhetorical question, too. You can unmute yourself and throw some random thoughts in. I saw some arms go in the air, as if symbolically what it means to fully alive is to throw your arms into the air. Wow.
And to use your voice. Be engaged.
What does it mean to be fully alive?
Hey, Todd, this is Tammy.
Yes. Hi, Tammy.
Hi. I've been inspired by this book called 10 Breaths to Happiness. And it's inspired me to stop and breathe and take in goodness into my nervous system and create some mantras for myself as I do so. And one of the mantras I've created, I think, helps me answer this question. And it actually comes out of this meditation. Something that I hear Joe say often is, "You are held." And so that's something that I say often. My 4 items are that I am held, I am connected to what matters, I am strong, and I am loved. And so when I think of what it means to be fully alive, those things come to mind.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Tammy. I'm strong. What was the last one?
I am loved. Also, this is a really cool
I
question.
think it was I am loved.
Yeah, it was I am loved. And also, this is a really cool question. Thank you for asking it.
Mm-hmm. Would anyone else like to chime in? There's no right answers on this, by the way. Scientists actually are still having disputes as to what it means to be fully alive in any context.
I think there's an aspect for me that's feeling connected to and aligned within to my heart, my center, my mind, and then also connected. So feeling deeply connected to myself, and then feeling connected to like nature and other people.
Beautiful.
There's an alignment piece for me and a connection. And I think the alignment goes with on purpose. Like purpose is such a tricky word. Like what does that really mean? But I feel like there's a piece, there's an aspect in there of on living with intention on purpose.
Todd, your question is reminding me of some quotes from Mary Oliver. And one of them is, what does it mean to be fully alive? Her question, what do you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Which
Mhm.
reminded me of our talk last week. And in another poem, he writes instructions for living. Number 1, pay attention. 2, be astonished. 3, tell about it. And there's one other quote I love, which is breathe it all in and love it all out.
Mary Oliver is always welcome on meditations. Thank you, Eliza. We have an unmute coming from Jamaica Plain.
Part of being fully alive for me is being really aware of death.
Mhm.
This is finite. And part of being fully alive is savoring that like this day never happens again, this moment never happens again. You know, God willing and the pump don't fail. I've got more decades, but then at a certain point, they too end. So it's in context of endings and finiteness that it is to be fully alive.
Can I share something on that? I'm so glad that was said. I recently heard a talk by someone who has a startup working on robotics, and he said the purpose of his startup is to defeat disability and death. He said that the greatest problem facing humanity right now is death. And I couldn't figure out why that annoyed the nonsense out of me. And so I'm very struck by what was said here, that, you know, to be fully alive is to understand that this is a finite moment that we're having. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Hey, Tammy, how could death be the problem? Like, it's always been here. Like, how could it be so fundamental to the problem?
Dude, don't make me hijack this whole thing, okay? I'm gonna stop right now. I'm gonna stop.
I'll chime in though. It's, you know, Satguru just wrote a book last year that came out called Death, a book for all those who shall die. And, you know, which I've read. And what I love how he puts it, he says, you know, the moment you're born, death is on. The moment you become alive, death is on, because every moment you're closer to your death. So, and the more we are aware of that, actually, the more the only answer is to be alive. Can
we put that book in chat, by the way?
Sure, I will. I'll
Thank
do that as soon as I'm finished. It's a very good read. I have to say, it comes from the yogic perspective on things and life in the cosmos. When you asked this question, what came to mind to me is that you know, what gets in the way of life. And I think the biggest thing that gets in the way of living for humans is the human mind. And my own personal experience is how much I am entrapped in the trauma that I picked up in my early childhood experiences. And so being alive is exactly, I think, one of the biggest keys to me feeling alive is this, what we do every Tuesday, which is getting present, connecting to the present moment. And if I've learned anything in the work that I do around addiction and trauma, is that trauma and addiction is about living in the past, about not being able to get out of past trauma, and therefore not being fully alive. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Keith. We're going to have a chance to continue this discussion after the meditation. I really appreciate your input. This has been an important question for me, and one that I feel is important to the age we live in. And we are here to revive the global heart. And if we look at the the meaning of the word revive. Vivere in Latin is vivere is aliveness, bring back aliveness to the heart. And so we've talked a lot about the heart. I thought it'd be fun to talk about aliveness. And one of the barriers that I experience living in this time is that we still have a machine metaphor that we operate by. We want everything to run efficiently. Our bodies, things are either working or they're broken. And there's a lot of either or, and the machine metaphor, or some people will say mechanistic thinking, is deeply embedded in us. And nature is not a machine, nor does it function like a machine. Self-organizing systems full of life that are dynamic, they're not predictable, they're not controllable, they can't be reduced to parts. And so getting beyond the machine metaphor for me is a lot of bringing back aliveness and that connection with nature, that connection with all that is. So one other interesting aspect of this is there's been an assumption back to Darwin that we're all in a struggle for survival, and that death and life is a either or. You're either dead or you're alive. And my experience is there's so many degrees to how fully I am living that I can be actually rather dead and still be breathing and walking. And a new definition of life is not one that is that I'm not dead, but there's actually becoming more fully alive. And I have books around me this morning by Andreas Weber, who has been researching life in terms of biology, enlivenment, and seeing across ecology and biology that animals, plants, living beings on this planet, they don't just try to survive. They also are expressing something that is just innate to them. Watching squirrels play in the yard, they're not in a struggle for survival at that moment. It doesn't, not all needs to be defined that way. So even the non-human beings on this planet want to be fully alive. There's evidence they want to be fully alive. And for us, in reviving the global heart, one of the things that excites me is that it's contagious. When I'm with somebody who is fully alive, even if they're quiet, sitting still and not saying a word, it encourages me, provokes my curiosity. I want to spend time with them. So as we enter this meditation today, we sit still, we close our eyes if that's comfortable. I invite you to consider the aliveness of being that is possible even without movement, words, or actions.
Thanks, Todd. Wonderful. So taking that aliveness into our still practice, allowing your eyes to close. Taking a moment as we begin and bringing your awareness to your heart and just noticing your heartbeat. This radical act of listening to the beat of our own heart as we contemplate what it is to be alive. Bringing your awareness now to your contact points. to that place below you, your seat on the ground on a chair, feeling that surface coming up to meet you. Allowing yourself to be held, to feel connected, to feel all of your awareness specifically at that point or points. Your spine is gently lengthened. The chin tucks slightly to just open the back of the neck, allowing your spine to be long and reaching upward. This allows energy to flow through our system more easily. From that place, feeling this powerful yet invisible force of gravity. Where in your body can surrender to gravity more fully in this moment? And maybe just simply asking the body, if you could surrender to gravity in this moment more fully, what would happen? And just pay attention to the wisdom of your body. From this place, taking a deep breath in through your nose and slowly out through the mouth. Becoming aware of your center. This place of impulse, of creativity, of a deeper awareness. From that place, becoming aware of your physical body in this moment. What sensations are you aware of? What temperature in your body, inside of your body, outside of your body, are you aware of? From your center, becoming aware of your emotions. What emotions or emotion is most present for you right now? And from your center, becoming aware of your thoughts, becoming aware of your mental body. How are your thoughts? Are they open, spacious, quiet? Are they more racing? Putting on our cap of curiosity as we assess our internal self. And now bringing our awareness to your heart again. Space in the center of your chest. Energetic field that's measurable. This place of courage and compassion. Connection. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of the part of yourself that connects with something larger. be that nature, something spiritual, humanity. Becoming aware of that part of you that connects to something larger than yourself. So having cultivated an increased awareness of yourself on some level, taking a deep breath in through your nose and slowly out through your mouth. And from your center and from your heart now, connecting with your, becoming aware of your surroundings. What are you aware of behind you, below you? Above you? What's the experience of becoming aware of your surroundings from your center and from your heart? How are your surroundings affecting you in this moment? And how might you be affecting your surroundings? From your center and from your heart, becoming aware of the other people on this call. From your center and your heart, connecting with the center and the hearts of the others on this call in this moment, spanning several time zones, countries, continents. And from your center and from your heart, now taking in more of the human family, taking more people into your heart, starting with those that you would consider to be loved ones. And from your center and from your heart now, becoming aware of connecting with those people that you would consider to be strangers. Feeling that reach of connecting with from your humanity to theirs. And noticing then the question coming in, what does it feel like? What does it mean to be alive as we connect with others, as we connect with strangers? And from your center and from your heart now, becoming aware of those that you would consider to be adversaries. From your center and from your heart, connecting with those people that you would consider to be adversaries. Taking the entire human family into your heart, taking a deep breath in through your nose from your center and from your heart, out through your mouth. Coming back to connect with the people on this call in this moment. Coming back to your surroundings. Coming back to your within. And taking a moment to assess the effects of this practice in this moment. How do you feel right now physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually? From your center and from your heart, taking one more deep, deep breath in through your nose, holding the human family in your heart, out through your mouth. Allowing that question to continue to permeate through every cell of your being, the billions and billions of cells. What does it mean to fully be alive? Allowing your eyes to gently flutter open. Coming back. Moving the body a little bit. Okay, we'll continue to open the space for anyone's experience, what came in around being alive in your meditation, any other sharings or reflections.
I love to share my experience. Since 2 days, we have a whole lot of snow in Holland, a whole lot of freezing. And it's the end of the afternoon and all the children are playing outside. And all the dads and moms and grandparents and grandfathers, mothers are outside and they are laughing and they are playing with the snow. They're fully alive. Oh, that dog too. And this morning I was visiting a friend who is in a clinic for people who are mentally ill, in a psychiatrist. You know, it's not good with him. And the contrast is very strong and very sad because all the people there they lost the twinkle in their eyes. They didn't look alive. And the medicine took the rest of their twinkling. And I was so glad my friend wanted to go outside. And I said 10 times, oh, look how beautiful there's snow. And then suddenly he said, oh, snow covers everything. And then he had a little twinkle. And I know the snow is going to stay for 2 weeks, and that's very exceptional in our country. So I hope he has 40 days to get the twinkling back. And then he gets, and all the people who are there are hopefully getting more alive. So in the end, it's very easy, I think.
Thank you, Mika. Very moving for me. Dominique said, to be fully alive is to not be indifferent, to feel physically and emotionally. Thank you, Dominique. Anyone else with experiences of the meditation or reflections, responses to aliveness?
I have
Tia.
something. I've been reading some Anais Nin, and there are a couple of quotes that just really sort of touched me. One is, living never wore one out as the effort to not live, or the effort not to live. And I noticed that in the meditation, that I could feel some sort of fear and resistance, or sort of sound in the house, and, you know, whatever I have attached to those sounds. And I could feel myself sort of contract. So I just relaxed into it and stopped using so much of my effort not to live. And the other one is, life is so fluid that one can only hope to capture the living moment, to capture it alive and fresh without destroying that moment. So to me, that's so much about that, being present with it in that moment and not, you know, taking a photograph. So we can save it, just let it be. So thank you.
Thank you. It's beautiful. Anais Nin, who understood aliveness and the eroticism of aliveness quite well.
Todd, I'll say something if I may. What came to mind during our meditation and these words of what it means to be alive is, we have a neighborhood listserv or a chat room where neighbors log in to, you know, give whatever neighborhood alerts or whatever. There were a string of posts asking if anybody else had heard the sounds of a train in the distance. And so there were all these sort of, you know, physics related answers like, well, the trees are bare and the winds are blowing a certain way. And I thought to myself, maybe they've been out there and we're just beginning to pick up on them and to hear them because our ears are more open than they've been before. So that was my thoughts.
Thank you, Jean. Anyone else? Thank you, Tammy, for your comments about wishing Mika was your grandma.
So say we all. Awesome.
That's
I've been feeling and I felt during the meditation today, the aliveness of connection. So the connection within myself and feeling my own vibration. And then when you invited us to be in connection with strangers, Tori, I just felt kind of this visceral thrum of vibration that not only do I share with other humans, but all of life. And that, like, that pulse and that, so it's almost like I align with it, or I can feel my own connection and withness or something in it that brings me further alive because of the other connection that I'm with. So thank you.
well said. Tammy.
Thank you so much, everyone. Shelley, that was really beautiful. Thank you. I'm wondering, Tia, if you can put the particularly the first part of the poem or quote that you read in the chat, because it really, for me, I think connected to something I was thinking about feeling about actually during our meditation. When adversary came up, what I feel come up for me is unconsciousness. I feel surrounded by, just in the world in general, I feel surrounded by unconsciousness. And I I can't see how we can dissipate it from our environment, from our systems, from our context. So many human minds are troubled, to say the least. Mine certainly was, to a degree that I can really empathize and understand. So that's just what came up for me, was the notion of being unconscious when I was feeling adversary. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Tammy. I know Joe talks a lot of, go ahead, Jeff.
Tammy, you and I seem to be on a wavelength today.
Are we mind melded today, Jeff?
I think we are. I'm having a good time with it too. Because this time, for the first time in the adversary invitation, I felt all the people who are working to structure unconsciousness for their benefit. I could feel, and I never had that awareness around adversary. Usually I get this in this place, adversary, God, I can't kind of find adversary. But I suddenly felt there are a bunch of humans who are trying to craft and manipulate unconsciousness to advance narrow needs. And I thought, oh, yeah, I feel adversarial in relationship to that. So,
and so the antidote to being manipulated is expanding your consciousness. Period.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not thinking about me. I mean, I don't think about I wasn't thinking about me in that adversarial space. I was thinking about just, so the world at large and the world I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, how do we facilitate, because I don't think it's our place to step in and help where help isn't wanted, but how do we facilitate the expansion of consciousness writ large?
Yeah, gotcha, Keith. I hear what you're saying. Thank you.
Yeah, because I'm struggling with that significantly with my family at the moment. I'm at a loss, to be honest. Yeah.
Tammy, Keith, I appreciate both of your sharing, and the structuring unconsciousness. I mean, for me, that is a thing that can get me into a state of rage. I do feel that happening.
I wonder if, so we talk about how our nervous systems align with one another, not only in the dysregulated sense, but also how we attract one another in regulation of nervous system. And so I'm playing with this idea about perhaps the same thing happens with consciousness. That as we grow consciousness, we attract broader consciousness rising.
Yes, it's not just viruses that are contagious. States of being, emotions, they're all contagious.
Hi, I'd like to
Hi, Mariana. Yes.
So I'm very, very new to this 3-year-old community, and first want to just very graciously thank all of you for welcoming me into this beautiful, moving and touching community. Every week, I'm so grateful. And I really have loved every single part of this discussion, and hope in what I'm sharing that some parts come together. So we talked earlier about the purpose and being intentional as being fully alive, and also not necessarily being the products of our trauma. And something that showed up in this meditation was how I was being towards all of you. and seeing it as a product of some, you know, whether it's trauma or just some unconscious decision I made at some point in my upbringing, was this, which I see now as not being fully alive, choice or a decision to look good at all costs.
Hmm.
And and how life-sucking that is. And so just being in the space of the meditation, noticing how I was being in, like, you know, trying to impress all of you in some way, like, how can I figure out how, like, I can have everybody like me and be on my good side, and how just not alive I was, because on the other side of you not liking me is this, like, subtle, unconscious resentment. You know, if you're not on my good side, you're on my bad side. And how non-intentional and purposeful and unconscious that is. And so thank you for this space to, one, discover this unconsciousness and how I was being that is not in alignment with the gratitude and appreciation I actually have for this space and for each and every one of you in your contribution as exactly who you are, and not as somebody who I need you to like me. That's not actually you getting to be you. And then in the expansion of our consciousness, you know, that just happened in this space, and my sharing with you now perhaps has also expanded some fragment of your consciousness. So, and thank you again so much.
Mariana, thank you.
And I also am taking on the promise to be intentional in this space of creating all of you to show up as exactly who you are and not as somebody that I need you to like me going forward.
Thank you for modeling what expanding consciousness and connection actually looks and feels like. Thank you for that courage, because I'm sure that took a little bit of internal, pushing back some internal resistance in order to say those words. And yet you didn't just bring connection to me. I'm guessing you brought connection that just spread across us and is going to spread beyond us as we complete this meditation. Yes, thank you. That was profound. And say hi to your mother for us, okay? All right, Tori, can you close us out?
Oh, feels like a beautiful closing. I feel so honored and alive to be in this group of people. And yeah, I'm a little bit speechless. Thank you for each of your sharings. I was moved. I am moved. And may we take this feeling inside of us that each one has, whatever you're feeling in this moment. Whatever you're feeling in this moment, maybe you could name it to yourself. What am I feeling? What's one thing I'm feeling? And expand that in your body. And as we practice together, bowing in deep gratitude for that feeling and allowing that feeling to not only serve yourself, but expand out into the collective as we become more alive and more conscious. With a deep bow, with honor and respect. Namaste.
Thank you, everyone. Come back next week. We're going to have another discussion, different topic, and the following week we will have a special guest, Melanie Goodchild. You definitely will want to be here for Melanie too. And then Joe will be back after that. So see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Bye,
Thanks,
Mika.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.